When it comes to the boys, we know it's all about the Seven, Homelander, and the boys. But we ever stop to consider how the other characters in the universe like to interact with each other and how their lives are going about? Well, you don't have to wonder about it anymore, because The Boys presents Diabolical delves right into that. Diabolical consists of 8 separate stories done by 8 separate writers, and honestly, not all of them are great, but they do tell a variety of different stories and are set in the world of The Boys. Each episode has its own distinct flair that really sets it apart from the others. You've got one that looks like straight out of a Studio Ghibli film, and you've got another that looks like it's coming out of a Looney Tunes cartoon. Regardless of style, each episode contains a mix of the good old-fashioned boys' humor and violence we've come to know and love.
No, please! Ah! Oh god! Oh god, no!
You'll believe a cunt can fly.
Since each episode has its own separate story, let's look at them individually. Episode 1 focuses on the radical misadventures of a Bavot researcher, plus the baby who's scheduled to be terminated. This leads to the classical baby goes through a dangerous pathway, and you have to save them, make sure they don't get hurt. Classic stuff you see in a Looney Tunes cartoon. Although the fact that the baby was also causing a number of damage itself was definitely not something you see in a Looney Tunes cartoon, and very unique and hilarious. The lack of dialogue this episode had really helped stick to that whole classic cartoon feel. All in all, I found the first episode to be amusing, but this episode doesn't really do anything that the live action series doesn't already do in terms of gratuitous violence. I kinda wish they would have expanded the boundaries just a bit, rather than focusing on the popular lazy baby part. Episode 2 focuses on the rejects, those who were injected with Compound V but didn't get any special powers and ended up becoming the losers who got dumped by their parents. This episode was crafted by one of the minds behind Rick and Morty, and honestly, a little too much of Rick and Morty's influence is present here. The overall narrative taking revenge against the parents who brought them in the situation in the first place was well executed, but this felt too much like a Rick and Morty episode without Rick and Morty. You've even got the classic cameo of this random character being voiced by Justin Roiland, who voices no other purpose than being voiced by Justin Roiland.
That's right, my name is Papers. I wasn't introduced in the beginning, but because they think maybe I'm not that important, but I can locate any papers anywhere, and I'm pretty good. Showtime!
The only other problem I had with this episode was the wasted potential. All these reject heroes just got killed by Homelander in the end. What a waste! I'm glad Ghost got away, and hopefully we see something about her in the future, but I feel like more could have been done with them. Episode 3 feels like it comes straight out of the comics, jam-packed with all that edginess that Garth Ennis is known for. Personally, I couldn't really get into the comics, but having all this edginess toned down into one episode actually makes for one of the stronger episodes and part of Diabolical. To summarize the episode, a garbage soup is getting an award, and Butcher's coming in to stop it. Short, simple, sweet. Unlike most of the live-action cast, Carl Urban doesn't actually reprise his role as Butcher in this show. It's actually done by a man known as Jason Isaacs, who honestly did a very bang-up job in capturing that thick Cockney accent that Butcher's known for.
Come on, OD. What bloody use have you beaten me spread all over the street like strawberry jam?
Episode 4 is another strong episode, which focuses on a man named Boyd who's trying to win the affections of a girl who lives across the hall using Vought cream. The overall story was well executed, but to be honest, I'm not a fan of how it ended. This episode ended in Boyd's death, but because of how it was done, I don't know whether or not the entire episode was just a daydream and then he died, or the fact that he experienced everything and then he died. And what's gonna happen to the girl? Good episode, just not a good ending. Now let's move on to episode 5, in my personal opinion, the stinker of the bunch. And yes, that pun was entirely intended. This episode focuses on a girl named Sky who, after ingesting Compound V, is able to control excrement, which honestly is about as exciting as it sounds. Even taking into the fact that Boys has the whole balls to the walls and gratuitous humor, this episode just took things too far. Controlling excrement? Just gross! Maybe want to crawl into my skin. Even the anime-esque feel this episode had couldn't save it. But one highlight I can point out was the fact that the Deep made an appearance. He was as classic as ever. He even had the whole eco-friendly spiel going on.
What are you shitting me? This is my turf. Well, not exactly my turf, because sewer runoff and overflow into the ocean's a major problem today. I don't know if you've heard, but...
Episode 6 focuses on a superhero couple on the cusp of a divorce, along with a daughter who's trying everything to stop it from happening. This is another strong episode in Diabolical. It has a very nice voice cast, it's well animated, and even has a rather interesting ending. Another highlight of this episode is the fact that I can appreciate how they use the whole VOT-generated superhero plot lines from the live-action show.
What? You're not even in our continuity this season, you crazy motherfucker!
Episode 7, and in my personal opinion the strongest episode of this season, focuses on an old couple named John and Suni. Suni is unfortunately dying from pancreatic cancer, and John is determined to do whatever he can to save her. The animation looks like it comes out of a Studio Ghibli film, and the fact that this entire episode was written by the comedic king Andy Samberg, yet featured very little comedy, was actually quite surprising. The episode's ending was also very somber and heartfelt, and really made you feel for John. Perhaps saving the best for last, the final episode of Diabolical focuses on Homelander first joining the Seven. This episode delves into the psyche of Homelander, and even shows that at the beginning of his career at the Seven, he just wasn't equipped in handling these superhero situations. The fact that out of 12 hostages, 11 were killed by his hands shows that he just isn't ready to do this. You can really feel the desperation coming out of a Homelander when he tries to salvage the situation.
No, they made me do that. I didn't want to, but they made me.
The ensuing fight between Homelander and Black Noir really showcases how Noir likes to use his environment when it comes to fighting. His tactical prowess is very exciting to see. The way the episode ended reminds me a lot of how, in first season of The Boys, Homelander may have managed to mess up the plane rescue, but Homelander still managed to turn it around into a win. The ending also gave us a bit more insight of what kind of role Black Noir has in VOT in the Seven. Overall, Diabolical is a fantastic addition to The Boys universe, centered around 8 unique stories going over beyond just The Boys and the Seven. While I don't think every episode is a winner, if you're a fan of The Boys, this is still a fantastic watch to keep us tided over until Season 3 arrives. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, try to give a like or leave a comment. If you didn't like what you saw, try to leave me some feedback to see in ways I can improve. Thank you. Have a nice day.